I'm going to show you the simple KDP pricing strategy that I've been using with my clients so we can help them not only increase profit margins, right? Obviously, everyone wants higher profit margins, but not only did we increase profit margins, we actually increased the amount of units sold as well. So we made more sales and made more money from those sales, right? With a very simple pricing strategy. I'm going to show you that now. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, Barry, what's this special pricing strategy? All you have to do is just increase your price, right? And I mean, you're half correct. Yeah. I mean, essentially, if you just increase your price, you will make more money, right? Because obviously you're going to have higher profit margins. You're going to make more money for every sale. Now, there's some problems that come up when you just increase the price. I'm going to get deep into this, but before I get deep into it, if you increase the price, hypothetically speaking, you will make more money, right? Which obviously, because if you're selling like a $10 book and you're making like $3 profit or $3 in royalty, if you increase this to $12, you'll be making like $4 royalty, right? Now, this isn't 100% accurate. I don't have the calculator in front of me to correctly, accurately pick the right number. I hope you get me, but this is basically what I mean. If you increase the price, you will make more profit or more royalties for your sales, right? So essentially, you'll make more money. Also, one more thing, hypothetically speaking, if we increase the price, we will also lower our A costs, right? Why? Because again, if our book is $10, so if I spend $10 on Amazon ads and I make one sale, which is like the $10 price of the book, then my A cost is 100%, right? Because I've spent the same amount that I made back. Now, before you start going in the comments, but Barry, this isn't real profit. This is the price of the book. I know, but that's how Amazon measures it on the Amazon dashboard. So that's how I'm going to give it to you. That's how Amazon measures A cost. Now, if you want to calculate the total A cost, then great. You can like pick the $3 instead of the $10, right? That's total A cost. If you're calculating spend against royalties earned, that's your total A cost. If you're calculating spend and then, well, the sales that you made, sales amount that you made back in your Amazon ads, that will be your A cost, right? Total A cost is royalties. Normal A cost is whatever Amazon ads shows you, which is the normal price of your book. Now, if we spend the same $10, but we made, again, one sale back, and then we made $12 back, now our A cost is slightly lower. I don't know what the actual percentage is. I don't know if it's like 80%. But again, I can't do the math now, but it's less than 100 because we spend less than we made back. I know we didn't actually make back $12. We made back like $4. But again, we're calculating A cost, not total A cost, right? A cost and total A cost is different. Hypothetically speaking, if we increase our price, we should make more money and then lower the A cost. However, I had a client and basically what they did is they increased their book by $1, right? And then what ended up happening is their A cost got cut in half because their sales got cut in half. So when they were making 100 sales a month, they started making 50 sales a month, right? And when their A cost was 50%, their A cost became 100%, right? So just from increasing the price, they actually started to destroy their book, destroy their profitability, destroy their sales, their momentum, everything. Now, here's the thing. Here's how you're going to increase your price without destroying your sales, right? Without lowering your sales or lowering your profit margin or increasing your A cost, right? Because that's the whole, I mean, this isn't the point of increasing the price. We don't want to make less money by increasing the price, right? So what do? Here's exactly how you do it. Now, when it comes to actually increasing your price, the more you increase the price, right? Obviously, the more money you will make per sale. However, because your price is going to get increased, another thing is going to get decreased, which is, again, very, very valuable. This thing is your conversion rate. So the higher your price, the lower your conversion rate is, right? Because you're selling a more expensive product and people are less likely to buy the expensive one than the average one or the lower price one, right? Now, here's the thing. There's a way to get over this, essentially. There's a way to fix this, and I'm going to show you how to fix this so you can increase your conversion rate and your price so you can actually make more sales and make more money per sale as well. Now, if you don't understand this graph, don't worry. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So first of all, we need to know the price of our book, right? And then also the royalty that we're making. Now, I did some calculations before, and I actually came up with the royalties for every price. And I have my paper right here. So let me just quickly write it down just so you can see as well. So we have royalty, price. We're also going to need to measure the clicks, right? This is so I can show you how to actually do this effectively, right? I don't care what price your book is at now. Once you understand what I'm going to show you here, you'll be able to make more money because you'll understand what price is best for you. Let's say we're going to need the conversion rate as well. We're also going to need the amount of sales, right? And then we'll get the amount of total actual royalties that we're making back. Not just sales number, right? Not the price of the book, but the actual royalties that we're making back. So if we have a book at $11.99, right? If the book is $11.99, and let's say we get 1,000 clicks for all of them, no matter what our price is, we're always getting 1,000 clicks. If our conversion rate is around 15%, well, at the price of $11.99, because $11.99 is fairly cheap, right? So loads of people will be wanting to buy it. Now, by the way, I'm assuming your book is good, right? I'm not telling you if you do this pricing on a really, really bad book, you're going to make money. Obviously not, right? This is like assuming your book is good. If your book isn't good, you have way bigger problems to fix, right? And go through the channel, look at all how the funnels work, and make sure your book cover is good, make sure your A+ content is good, make sure your conversion rate is high. And once you have that in place, then you can apply the pricing strategy. But if you have something bad at the start, it doesn't matter what kind of price you have. Even if you're the cheapest in the marketplace, if your book is bad, no one's going to want to buy you anyway. So assuming your book is good and you're making, your price is $11.99. Now, the royalties that you make on $11.99 is around $4.89. Now, I did the maths beforehand. I'm not a genius. I have the maths all written down here just so I don't mess anything up. But this royalty, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, but Barry, the royalty is different for every type of book. I know. That's why I can't give you like 70 different royalty numbers. But let's just assume that the book is 5 by 8 inches, right, trim size. And let's assume there's 100 pages in and it's black and white, right? That's what the prices are. That's what the royalties are right here. So $4.89, you're making $4.89 for every sale that you make at $11.99. You get 1,000 clicks at 15% conversion rate. What's that? That's 150 sales, right? And 150 sales times $4.89, which is the royalty, then you're essentially making $733.50. Great. Now, what we want to do is we always want to track the pricing, right? We want to track all this data when we adjust the price. So right now, let's assume that we increase the price by $1, right? And I have it here. The exact same thing, exact same book. Let's say we're doing, I'll put a line here so you can see. But let's say now we're doing $12.99, right? What's the royalty for $12.99? Well, the royalty for $12.99 is $5.49. Now, I know this seems like a maths lesson, but if you can't watch this video, this is such an important video because I'm showing you how to make more money by literally just adjusting one thing on your book, right? So if the maths is overwhelming or like this seems boring to you, this is real business, right? Making the book covers is like nice and creative and it's fun and all of that. But this is when you're optimizing your book to make as much money as possible, right? Most publishers give up after publishing. They'll hit the publish button and expect money to rain on them, right? It doesn't work like that. Once you hit the publish button, there's other things you need to do to maintain the book and optimize the book. And you're making it better and better and better and better and better every single month, right? If you're not tracking the data, if you're not analyzing the data, if you're not seeing what works best for you, then you're missing out. If you're not tracking it, if you're not making these corrections, you're missing out on money. So we're selling at $12.99 at $5.49. Now, again, we're going to have 1,000 clicks. However, because we have a higher price, what we can expect is a lower conversion rate because our price increased. So people are less likely to buy now that the price increased. Now, there's times where the conversion rate will actually increase with the price, as long as you can justify the value of the book. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But as long as you can justify the value, then sometimes your conversion rate goes up when you increase your price because the perceived value of your book is higher, right? If I'm selling a very valuable book at $12.99 and then I might want to sell it at like $15.99, the conversion rate might not change. That's why we need to track it, right? I can't predict your conversion rate. You have to track your own conversion rate. It's your book, right? I can't do anything for your book. I can help you, I can guide you, but you have to sit there and start tracking your data. I'm not going to do it for you. So let's assume that the conversion rate decreased. Let's just assume it's like 12%, right? I have it all here because I can't do maths, right? There's no way I'm doing this in my mind. If our conversion rate is 12%, what's happening now? Well, now we've got 120 sales. Now, guess what? The total amount, is it going to be higher or lower than this? Well, we just have to do 120 by 549 times 549. So we made less sales, but we made more money per sale. So if we calculate that, the final amount is $658.80. So you can see that by increasing the price by $1, we can clearly see that we made less money, right? So it makes more sense. We make more money because we looked at the data. If this was like a real book, this is what the data would look like. We make more money if our book is cheaper. So increasing the price actually makes us less money. So we don't want to increase the price. However, let's try an even higher price, right? So let's try $13.99. What happens at $13.99? Because maybe that would actually give us more money, right? So $13.99, again, 1,000 clicks, and then let's say the conversion rate only dropped by like 1%, right? 11% now. So we increased by $1, and then the conversion rate decreased by 1%, which is basically nothing. So now we're selling 110 copies every single month. Let's just assume this is monthly. It doesn't really matter. Now, 110, we need to calculate the royalty. So the royalty for $13 or $13.99 is $6.09. So now, are we making more or less money? Well, let's calculate it. 110 times 609, it turns out to be $669 and also 90 cents. Let's not forget the 90 cents. So now you can see that we're actually making more money at $13.99 with a lower conversion rate than we are at $12.99 with a higher conversion rate. However, we're still making less money at $13.99 with a low conversion rate than we are at $11.99 with a higher conversion rate, right? So now because of the data, because we tested out the pricing, we know where we make the most amount of sales and the most amount of money, right? So now we can clearly see what's happening. However, here's where it gets super, super, super interesting, right? Because right here, I have $13.99. Let's say our book is $13.99. However, our conversion rate didn't decrease that much. In fact, it increased. Maybe we did some things and optimized the conversion rate, and now our conversion rate actually increased. Let's say it's only 13%. So the conversion rate is nowhere near 15, like here. It's 13. It's a little bit higher than this, right, at $12.99. So let's say we had a 1% increase in conversion rate, right, which is basically nothing. It's like 1%, it's nothing. But again, everything is valuable because it's just percentage. Anyway, now we're selling 130 copies a day, and it's the same price. It's the same royalty, $6.09. So at $6.09, at 130 copies, now we're actually making $791.70. So now, because of this data, I don't need this anymore, but because of this data, we can clearly see where we are making the most amount of money. Now, if you have a book on KDP and you've had the book for over 3 months and you've never adjusted the price, why? Right? You don't have any data to look at. You need to make price adjustments and track your price adjustments so you can clearly see where it's performing the best and where it's making you the most amount of money, right? Because there's going to be times in your journey where you want to boost your book. So you need to know which price gives you the highest conversion rate when you want to rank higher. So when new competitors are coming in and you need to rank higher so they don't destroy you, you need to make optimizations to your price so you can increase your conversion rate, rank higher, and then you can adjust your price back to make the most amount of money. You can still make money here, right? It's just sometimes you optimize for growth and sometimes you optimize for profitability. If you don't know which price is bringing the most profitability and which price is bringing the most growth, then you're basically just going in blind. You're guessing everything. So now, just from here, we can see that at $13.99 with a 13% conversion rate, we make more money than at $11.99 with a 15% conversion rate, right? And how much more money do we make? We make around $50 more, or $60 more, roughly, right? Which might seem very small, but again, like the bigger your book and the better your book and the more data you have, the more money you'll make, right? Here it's only 150 books. I have clients that are selling thousands of books a month. I have clients that are selling thousands of books a month with just one book, right? One book is selling thousands of copies a month. So this is very, very important. The bigger your book, the more important this is, because the more money you could be potentially missing out on because you're not adjusting the price. Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, it's not enough to just increase your price, right? This is half the game. Increasing the price and tracking is half the game. Now, if you want to increase your price so you can make more profit per unit, right? And you also want to make more money, guess what you have to do? you have to increase the conversion rate as well. Because you can see, these two are completely different. There's like $100 difference, $130 difference. And there's only a 2% conversion rate difference, right? So with this one, which is like a very mediocre book, if you're selling 100 copies a month, it's like it's a fairly okay book, right? There's nothing like groundbreaking, but it's okay. Now, only a 2% conversion rate difference gave us $150 more, right? So the conversion rate is very, very important. Same price, it's just conversion rate will give us more money. So if we actually want to increase our price, we need to justify a higher price, right? If you don't justify a higher price, your conversion rate will decrease, right? Because if your competitors are selling at higher prices than you or similar prices to you, but they offer more, right? Or they have better packaging or whatever, I'll get to that in a bit. If they have a better book, they justify the higher price and they make you look even worse. So you have to decrease your price even more, just to like at least maintain a decent ACOS. Not ACOS, conversion rate. So most of the times, if your book is not good and you're not positioned correctly, you have to lower your price and you have to make lower profit margins in order to even just maintain a normal conversion rate, right? So how do we justify a higher price? I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. So we want to justify a higher price, right? That means we have to make some adjustments, right? We can't just leave everything as it is, increase the price and expect more money. Sometimes it does work like that. Right? If you have a good book, sometimes it will work. If you just increase your price, you've already justified a higher price from before. But if you increase your price and you see that you're making less sales and less money overall, this is what you need to do. So let's justify a higher price. Now, there's only two main steps. Obviously, there's always more steps because you can be creative and find different ways to increase your conversion rate. However, these are the two main ones that I use with my clients, and we see amazing results using these. Now, the first one, okay, so if you go to like a plastic surgeon, right? And you have to do plastic surgery. Now, let's say one plastic surgeon had like 15 clients and the other one is like really, really good, had 150 clients, right? I don't know how I'm going to draw a plastic surgeon here. Let's just draw some eyes or something. And it's like, sometimes women will have like these lips, right? Like the really puffy lips and then like some cheekbones or something. Look at that, that's perfect. Plastic surgery right there. So, you have to decide between a plastic surgeon. This guy had 15 clients, this guy had 150 clients. You walk into this guy's office, and there's basically no posters or anything around the wall, but you walk into this guy's office, and you see before and after photos all on the wall. There's testimonials everywhere. The receptionist is telling you, oh yeah, we had like 3 people come in yesterday, all of them loved it. Your surgery, I've done your specific surgery, I've done it on like 30 different people, right? Which one do you trust more? Obviously this guy, right? Now, what if I told you that this guy would charge $500 for your plastic surgery, but this guy would charge you $2,000 for your plastic surgery? Does this affect your decision on which one you're going to go for? Are you going to pick this guy to mess with your face, right? Think about it. Are you going to pick the guy with 15 clients at $500 because they're cheaper to mess with your face? Or would you pick the premium guy, but they also have 150 clients behind their back to prove that they know what they're doing? I don't know about you. I don't know if you're comfortable getting the cheap guy for your plastic surgery, but I would definitely not hire a cheap person for plastic surgery on me. I would pay the premium price. And also they have a bunch of customers, right? Why? Because of social proof, right? We all know social proof. Social proof just basically means social is like a bunch of people, and then proof is basically it works, right? So if a bunch of people tell you that it works, or you can see that it works from a bunch of people, just like here, 150 clients are telling you that, hey, this works, it's really good, and you see before and after pictures, right? That's social proof. So you're convincing yourself that this works. You trust them more, right? So this is the main thing. One of the main things is trust. You can't increase your conversion rate unless people trust you more. If they trust your competitors more than you, then your conversion rate will decrease. If they trust you or your book more than your competitors' books, your conversion rate will increase. As simple as that. Now, when it comes to trust, very, very simple. All you need is reviews. Now, reviews are super, super powerful. Okay, so one question that I get usually with reviews is, how many reviews do I need to launch a book? How many reviews do I need to have a good conversion rate, right? I wish it was simple and I could just give you one number, but it's not like that. It all depends on the demand of your niche and also what your competitors are doing. right? If you publish in a niche where like all your competitors have 15 reviews, this guy has 20 reviews, this guy has 70 reviews, and this guy has like 80 reviews, and they're all selling, great. With less than 100 reviews, you can make sales as well because there's proof. Now, there's other people with less reviews making sales. Now, the more people in a niche with a low amount of reviews, the more likely you are to make sales with less reviews, right? If you publish in another niche where everyone's at like 150 reviews, 250, this guy has 1,000, and this guy has like 500. Well, then you don't have any proof that if I publish in this niche with low reviews, I can still make sales, right? Why? Because if you come in and you publish with 40 reviews, then why would someone trust your 40 review book against these guys, right? You're this guy here. So why would someone trust you over this guy here, right? It doesn't make sense. Even though this is super ugly, this is not what the final result is going to look like when this doctor does you. So again, reviews, it depends on your niche. If you're curious to see how many reviews you'll need, what I would do is like go through your niche, right? I would just go through my niche and I would see if there's other people making at least 1 or 2 sales a day, right? With low amount of reviews. So under 100 reviews. Now, if you find multiple people in your niche, also, like you can just publish a book with less reviews and you'll still make some sales. Now, obviously, your main priority is to get to over 100 reviews, right? This is your main goal. If you're publishing a book and you got it to 50, great, you're halfway there, right? Try to get it to 100. Why 100? Because it's a triple digit. As soon as people see triple digits, even more trust gets built. And when even more trust gets built, your conversion rate goes higher, right? Your conversion rate increases. And you saw, if you increase your price and you increase your reviews, great. Now your price is going up and your conversion rate is going up. So now you're actually making more money and you're making more sales, right? You're not losing because you can't justify a higher price. Now, I actually had a client, they had 92 reviews. I talked about it in the previous video as well. They had 92 reviews and they were on around 400 ABSR, right? So they were making, I think it was 130 sales a day, right? 130 sales a day. That's not wrong. 130 sales a day. Now, as soon as they got to 111 reviews, what ends up happening is because of this, because exactly what we talked about here, their conversion rate increased, right? And they were able to increase their price as well. And guess what happened? They increased the price. Their conversion rate obviously increased because of the triple digits, right? I'm not telling you to do things that I've never done before. I'm telling you to do things that I've done multiple times with multiple people and myself, right? So here, what ended up happening is he was making 180 sales a day, right? And his ABSR dropped to 249 ABSR. He was number 249 on Amazon US, 180 sales a day. For what? For like 19 extra reviews, for like 20 extra reviews right here, right? I think 20 extra reviews. Yeah, so from 92 he went to 111 and he was making an extra 50 sales a day, which is 1,500 sales a month. And even if he's only making $3 profit, right? Profit margin, because he had a medium content book as well. 1,500 times 3, it's around 4.5K. So that's an extra $4,500 on his account from one book because he got up to 100 reviews and didn't stay at 92. So even people that are doing this well, 400 ABSR in the Amazon US marketplace, again, this applies to them as well, right? So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm selling 3 books a day and 92 reviews, I don't need 100 reviews, great. This person here, which is a successful publisher, they're on track to make around 8K in profit this month, right? Net profit. I'm not talking about royalties and things like that. Net profit from one book. So if these guys here at 400 ABSR still understand the value of triple digit reviews, why are you not doing it with your book, right? Aim to get over 100 reviews. Now, sometimes for some niches, you're going to need even more reviews. So I published a book recently, actually not recently, it was quite a while ago, but when my book was at 100 reviews, the conversion rate was fairly low. I wasn't making that many sales a day because my competitors had like things that my book didn't have in. I didn't do the correct research. I'm the fault for that. However, what recently happened is that book surpassed 200 reviews, right? And because a lot of my competitors are still under 100, or not under 100, they're still under 200. So this guy's on 100, this guy might be 130, this guy 150. Because they're under 200 reviews and I'm above, I automatically classed into like the bigger publishers, right? So there's other books with like 500 reviews, 300, there's another one at like 250, and then there's my one at like 200. So now, because these guys have less trust than me, my conversion rate went up. I didn't do anything. I didn't change my ads. I didn't do anything else. And now I'm making more sales because I hit the 200 review mark, right? So it's different for every niche. It really kind of depends on your competitors right here. So the more competitors that you have with high number of reviews, then the more reviews you'll probably have to end up getting in order for your customers to trust your book and not someone else's book, right? So reviews is a very, very big part of it. So now we increased our conversion rate. However, there's also one very, very, very big part that you need to do. And it's this is what most publishers are missing. Now let's use another example. Let's not use the plastic surgery example for this one. Let's just say you're going to a normal doctor, right? You're going to a normal doctor and then you have, it doesn't matter what you have. Let's just say you walk into the doctor's office and then the doctor's like, hey, Barry, take these pills. Or whatever your name is. Let's just say they're talking to you. The doctor's like, hey, take these pills. Awesome. Bye. That would be kind of weird, right? You literally just walk into the office and the doctor's like, oh, hey, Sarah, here's these pills. Go for it. You don't need me anymore. That's it. We're done. Right? That would be a bit weird. Because then now you're thinking, well, what are you thinking? If you just walk into a doctor's office and they just give you pills, they don't ask you anything about yourself, anything about your condition, nothing. They genuinely don't care about you, right? You're thinking, well, this guy just wants me to get the pills. He just wants to go home. He doesn't actually care about me. Now, what happens if this doctor's like, oh, so what are your symptoms? What hurts the most? Awesome. If I touch you here, does it hurt? Great. Well, what else is happening? Okay, did you check your temperature? Let me check your temperature. Let's see your temperature. Let's do this. Let's do these tests. Once the doctor starts asking questions, you're thinking, okay, well, this guy's trying to see what my problem is. And then after he asked all the questions and did all the tests, then he's like, hey, here's the pills, right? Go home and have them. No problem. Then you leave the doctor's office happy. Even if he gives you the same pills without asking you a single question or anything, and then this doctor asks you a bunch of questions, there's a bunch of exams, and gives you the same pills, you're a much happier customer. I don't know if patient, right? Not customer, patient. You're a much happier patient because this doctor actually took the time to understand you, right? So you need to understand your customer, right? In order to increase your conversion rate. And here's why. When someone clicks on your book, right? There's so much text that they're able to read. There's your description that they're able to read, and there's your A+ content that they're able to read. Now, there's obviously design and things like that with your A+ content, but it's very important that you use the correct text, right? Or in other words, the correct copywriting. Now, you might be thinking, Barry, copywriting, isn't that for like images and trademarks and things like that? That's a different kind of copywriting, right? This one is with a W. Copywriting with a W means the words that you use to convey value. If I give you 2 lollipops and I say this, or like let's say there's like a sticker on each lollipop, and the sticker on this says nice strawberry flavor, right? It doesn't matter what I'm going to write here. It doesn't really matter. But let's say this one says nice strawberry flavor. You're thinking, okay, sounds good. This one, what if this one says it tastes like 1,000 strawberries bursting inside your mouth, right? That's the slogan there. It tastes like 1,000 freshly cut strawberries bursting inside your mouth. Which one of these do you want to buy? You're thinking, oh, this one sounds amazing. This one sounds like there's more flavor than this one. But guess what? Even if they're the same lollipop, you still wouldn't care. You would still pick this one. Why? Because I used copywriting to paint a picture in your mind and, well, I don't know, I get you to taste a strawberry or something, I'm not sure. But it's such a vivid picture and it amplifies the value of the lollipop. Or it amplifies what you assume the taste is going to be like. So copywriting is very, very powerful. However, you need to understand copywriting and you need to understand your customer. Because if you start just writing random things that don't resonate with your customer, right, they don't care. It's going to go over their brain. It's like telling a kid, I don't know, how taxes work, right? Or how the banks work, right? The kid doesn't really care. The kid just wants a lollipop, right? If you're teaching kids like how to paint or something, sure, they might be more interested. But if you're explaining to them how a 401k works, right? They're not going to be interested. So it's the exact same thing. So you don't want your customers to start landing on your page, right? And then talking to them about things that they don't really care about. Or even worse, not talking to them about the things that they care about. What do I mean by this? let's say we're selling I'm going to get rid of all of this just so it's easy for me to write more things. But let's say we're selling a budget cookbook, right? It's a cookbook that you can create the recipes on a budget, right? So we're selling a budget cookbook, a budget-friendly cookbook. The first thing we want to do is we want to understand our customer. So someone who is looking for a budget-friendly cookbook, right? The first thing we want to ask ourselves is what are their problems, right? If you don't understand the customer's problems, why are you trying to sell them a book in the first place, right? The only reason you are selling a book to someone is to solve a specific problem. No one buys a book to not solve a problem. And even if you're like, oh, but sometimes, Barry, people buy Harry Potter to read the book, right? Harry Potter doesn't solve a problem. Really? Does it not? Does Harry Potter solve 0 problems, right? You opened up a book because your life was so amazing. You're like, hey, let me just read Harry Potter. No, even if you're reading stories, you're solving a problem. That problem might be boredom, right? You might be bored. You might be on a train for 2 hours and you're thinking, what am I going to do 2 hours on a train? Let me read Harry Potter, right? So I can kill my boredom. So boredom is the actual problem. You're always solving problems, right? You need to understand their problems. It's much, much easier with nonfiction than it is with fiction, because with fiction, it's more psychological things that you have to solve. However, with nonfiction, super easy. So great. Someone who is looking for a budget-friendly cookbook, what could their problems be? Well, first of all, I'm guessing ingredients might be expensive, right? So expensive ingredients is their problems, right? What else could their problems be? They might be scared that if they buy cheaper ingredients, they're going to sacrifice food quality or like flavor, right? Another problem might be that they're cooking for families and that's expensive. So it's not the expensive ingredients, it's the expense of cooking for multiple people. Great. And I'm going to list out all these problems that my customer has. Now, the deeper you understand your customer, the more problems you will understand. The better you understand them, then the better you can convey the value of your book on your listing, right? And it's very, very simple. You come up with the problems, you think about the features of your books. I can't even spell features, but you think about the features of your books. So what's actually inside? How many recipes do I have? Do I have 100 budget-friendly recipes? Great, that's a feature, right? Are the recipes sorted for meat and vegetarians and vegans and things like that? Great, that's a feature. So we have vegan recipes, we have vegetarian recipes, we have meat recipes, we have soups and things like that. They're features, they're things inside my book, right? Do I have images? Great. Images is great. Another feature of my book. Things that are inside my book, right? And then the final thing is you need to think about the benefits. So why does that person even care that this thing is in the book? If you have these 3 things, you're good to go. You can start writing your description, you can start making your A+ content. And again, the deeper you understand your customer, the better you can do this. So it's very, very simple. If I'm writing A+ content text or if I'm writing the description and I have to talk about expensive ingredients because I know it's a problem, I can say something along the lines of like, hey, it's super expensive cooking for families, right? That's why in this book, in chapter 3, I'm going to show you the 5 most budget-friendly recipes you can cook for big families on a budget, right? Or $20 family meals or something like that, right? Or like, yeah, things like that. I hope this is making sense, by the way. So you're going to come up with the problem of your customer and then make sure you shout out their problem. Show them that you understand their problem. Hey, I know how hard it is to cook for families. I know how expensive it might be to cook for families. That's why in this cookbook, we show you 100 budget-friendly recipes that you can cook specifically for families. Or you might have a chapter specifically for family meals, right? The whole book can be like meals for one. And then obviously if they want to do it for multiple people, they can increase the quantity of the ingredients. However, if you're doing it for your family, then you might have a chapter inside the book specifically for families. Again, if you understand your customer, you do your research correctly, and you understand that families are what buy, or like moms that cook for their family are the target audience for this book, you know that you can put that in the book. You know that you can have a specific chapter for families. And guess what? You amplified the value of your book, and your competitors might not have that. Now, another thing, you might be thinking, oh, well, if someone is looking for a budget-friendly book, they probably want a grocery list, right? So a grocery list, you might want to add this to your book. These are like bonuses and extras that you can add to your book. and you can show it in your A+ content. Now, before you say anything, in the A+ content, you're not allowed specific words. You can't put the word bonus. You can't put the word extra. I think one of the words you can put, I think you can put, I'm actually not quite sure, but there's like those marketing terms, it might not be the best idea to add it to your A+ content. But you can say that this thing is inside. You might not have to say it's a bonus, but you could say budget grocery list included, right? And you can show off the grocery list as like a mock-up in your A+ content. I hope this is making sense. But the better you understand your customer, the more value you can actually give to your book. So if you understand their problems, you can call them out in the description. You can show how your book solves their problems. And then if you do this correctly, they're way more likely to buy your book than your competitors' books. So now, because you have a valuable book, because you understand your customer and you're shouting out the value, make sure you shout out the value, right? Shout all the valuable things inside your book. Shout it, right? Make sure you list everything. If there's something in your book that's helpful for your customer, tell them. Don't hide it. So shout out everything in your A+ content, in your description, right? Make sure you're giving them all their problems. Make sure you show them that you understand their problems. And then also, along with the reviews, what's going to end up happening is your conversion rate will go higher and higher as your price goes up and up, right? So you're going to increase your price, and then you're going to increase your conversion rate as well. Because the price, as long as you can justify the price with your book, your conversion rate will go up as well. If you change the price, but your book isn't as valuable as the price, then that's when your conversion rate drops. However, if you have value, right, and you express the value of your book correctly in your description, in your A+ content, just like we said, think about your customers, think about the extra things you can offer them, think about the words that you're going to use in your description, think about the words you're going to use in the A+ content, think about the features you want to show off, and tell them why it's beneficial for them. 100 recipes, right? So you never run out of things to cook. So you always have an exciting new meal. Something like that. I hope this makes sense. So because you have the value and you're conveying it correctly, and you also have increasing social proof, then your conversion rate just keeps going up. And the more reviews you get, the more data you have from your customers, right? What they like and what they don't like. And then the more you can use that data to put it back in your description, back in your A+ content to amplify the value even more, right? And then again, more reviews, and then you can use that data and your competitors' review data to amplify the value of your book. So your conversion rate will keep increasing, and you can keep increasing your price. This is the price strategy, so you can make more sales and actually make more money per sale. Now, if you want to work with me, link in the description. If you want to continue watching YouTube, then click on this video right here. Super, super valuable video. And yeah, go out there and make a bunch of money with KDP.